I am excited for this video.
I'm excited.
Such a puppy.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Final Fantasy Rebirth because big shout outs to Square Enix. They invited me down to London to play and record this game early. We got roughly about an hour on 2 sections of the game, which I'm going to be talking about in this video. So there will be kind of minor spoilers, but I'm going to try not to include too much because this is a game you should experience. If you want my very short thoughts on this game, it's remake times 100. It's exactly what you love about remake, all the familiarity with a whole bunch of new incredible things, especially in combat and battle. There's so many new ways to fight now and so many different things that you will have to do, like switching between characters is almost a must now. And there's a new guarding system too, and a parrying system and a reason to actually guard. So they've made a lot of significant changes to a lot of things, but it hasn't changed how the game feels and plays. It's just improved upon it. The voice acting, the menus, the UI, the music, the environments, how things look, how things feel, absolutely top notch and excellent. But if you want to stick around, I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth. For those who are here still, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. There's going to be some more in-depth breakdowns of the footage that I got to record coming up on my channel, but this is just my kind of honest opinions and thoughts about the things that we got to play. So the 2 sections were the Corel mission, which is known as the Calm Flashback in the original game, where you will get to play as Sephiroth in this game, and we'll talk about that. And then the second part we got was kind of like the open world area outside of Junon and under Junon before you actually infiltrate Junon in the original game. The open world area is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. We had an altered version so we could experience a few more things in the small area that we got, but the map that I looked at, this open world area is going to be massive, and I'm very scared to think about what else is going to be open world, because Costa del Sol looks pretty goddamn big according to the trailer. So the scale of this game is unreal. I thought the scale of Midgar and the Shinra Tower was big, but this game just feels like another level. I'm going to throw out my few kind of gripes and problems that I had with the game right now so people are aware of it. They're not that big of a deal, but the shadows in some areas were so intense that I had to squint and look at the game closer to see where I was. This was fed back by multiple creators, so hopefully they kind of edit that and change that a little bit. It's not that big of a thing, but it's just one of the things that I noticed. Also, the interactions with Chocobos can be a little bit funky because you dismount them, but then sometimes you just automatically remount them on the spot, and it's like, no, I wanted to get off, let me get off. And the only other thing that I found a bit fiddly was the mounting system. So now you can just like run at a wall and it should auto mantle you, but it doesn't really give you an indication on where on that wall you can actually hit that barrier to be able to mantle. There is a button you can press and mantle just by pressing a button, but it's one of those features where it's like, oof, it's not really working very well, but there's alternate ways to do it, so I'm not that bothered. So I'm going to go into a lot of different things in a lot of different videos, but some of the things that have changed in this game are incredible. I'm going to take a quick look at the UI and menuing system. In the old game, it just felt like a menu. It felt like a simulation, like you just entered your menu to check on things. This now in this game has been changed where it just feels a lot more colorful, a lot more open, a lot more immersive, and like you're actually involved in your party. The menus are just phenomenal. Access to all the information that you want is right there, very clearly shown. It's just all perfectly proportioned and just looks goddamn cool. If you want to go in and find your character stats, it's very easy to do that. It's all right there in front of you in one of the menus. I can't remember specifically what it's called. It might be the party menu, but you could just scroll through all your characters, even the ones that aren't in your current party, and just check on everything very easily. Also as well, a fun little fact, when you're fighting the open world and you've got your team of 3, the other 2 or 3 characters are still running around with you, and if you don't have Barret in your team, and I assume other characters too, while you're fighting, Barret will stand on the outside shooting at them too, so you've got an extra kind of involvement with your party of 3 from other characters. Pretty goddamn cool. All characters have new abilities too, and some have different limits. Aerith now has Healing Wind as one of her limits, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. Cloud now has an ability called Firebolt Blade, I think it is, which is a very, very strong, damaging attack with his sword. I think he infuses fire and lightning and just annihilates people. Barret now has something called Bonus Round, where he will infuse his gun with the ability to create pressure and stagger. So it's like his focused thrust rather than the blast that he used to do. You can fill up a stagger bar with Barret very quickly. So it looks like they've just really improved combat overall, because some of the things that are new are like synergy skills and synergy abilities. This is where characters work together. So there's now also going to be like a reason to guard and parry, because there's a parrying system. I don't know whether it's solely for Sephiroth, but it feels like there's probably going to be parrying for everyone. But even if you don't, guarding now creates a menu for synergy skills, and it will work with one other character in your party. It doesn't cost ATB, it's a free move, and some of them are just like you press the button once, some of them you charge it, you hold the button and do big damage. So it's kind of encouraging you to block and guard and be defensive, but still have ways to attack, and some of the moves that you can do together are utterly unbelievable. And then you have synergy abilities, which is forcing you to play a different way, where you want to swap through all your characters. Because if you use a move with Cloud like Focus Thrust, and then you swap to Aerith and you use healing, and then you swap to someone else and use a different ability, their synergies are going to start to build. Whereas if you just use Cloud, the synergies aren't going to build. So you're going to have to go through all your characters using abilities to be able to create synergy between them. When it hits their peak, then you can activate an ability where two characters come together and do a big move. I won't put too much on screen, but there'll be a couple being used. They're phenomenal, especially Cloud and Sephiroth's. Overall, combat just feels even better than it was in Remake. It feels more fluid, it feels more cohesive. The new things aren't too hard to implement into your battle systems and battle plans. Everything just works really well. They've done a phenomenal job. Before we talk about the open world, I just want to talk about Sephiroth and Red 13, because even though they're completely different characters, they feel very similar to play as. They're both very quick at attacking, very like slice, ability, slice. I tried to say that really quick. Whereas Cloud is like hit, ability. Sephiroth and Red 13 are just going 10 to the dozen, just attacking, and they do pretty good damage. Sephiroth especially, because obviously in that part of the game, Sephiroth is supposed to be broken and overpowered, but they do feel precise, fast, and they just work really well in this game, and I love both of them. Red 13 is now my favorite character, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy him. Just going to throw this in there as well. There's also dual materia, which is insane. So you can now pick up a materia called Lightning and Wind Materia, and when you equip it to one materia slot, you get access to both commands. So you're going to be able to equip a lot more materia than you could in Remake. So Sephiroth's like moves and abilities and stuff, I didn't really get a chance to use, because like I said, you just destroy all the enemies in front of you. But he does have a retaliation stance where you can guard and parry, and I assume that this will happen for pretty much everyone in some way, shape or form, but it definitely is for Sephiroth, and I think it will help build his abilities and ATB and stuff. But he also has obviously his Masamune, I call it. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it right, but he can slash with it, or you can hold it and unleash a ranged attack, and the ranged attack is phenomenal. It does so much damage from such a far range. It's unbelievable. Landing attacks will then, help you have more finishers, and one of the finishers is called Pierce and the others is called Sword Dance. I didn't use these, but when you do use them, it fills up Sephiroth's limit. I wasn't in the mindset of trying to get that to work. I just wanted to slash things with Sephiroth. His main two abilities are Zanshin, which basically unleashes a flurry of blows on multiple enemies. You can do it from range, you can do it while you're airborne. It's a really good move. And the other is Hell's Gate, which he jumps up into the air and stabs down on top of the enemy, which is very familiar and very painful for a lot of Final Fantasy VII fans. But it's a cool move and it does a lot of damage. His limit is Octaslash. I mean, I don't really have to say anything about that, do I? It's Octaslash. And he does a really cool synergy move with Cloud during the boss fight, which, spoiler alerts, Materia Keeper is now in the flashback scene rather than later on in the game, and you get to fight them as Sephiroth and Cloud together and do a big synergy ability on them. Overall, my experience with Sephiroth was just absolutely phenomenal. I loved every single second of it. I've just felt like I was Sephiroth, and that's all you want from playing as that character. You just feel like Sephiroth, overpowered, broken, fast, precise. Just cool as hell. Red 13 feels quite similar to Sephiroth in the fact that he's fast and he gets in and he hits a lot and then he dodges out and all that kind of stuff. So you swipe at foes obviously by pressing square, or you can hold it down to do a whirling slash to hit everything around you. If you guard with him, it will fill up his vengeance gauge, and when you activate it by pressing triangle, it'll increase his attack power but also his dodge speed, and he kind of teleports as he dodges, which is pretty goddamn cool. It can be activated at any time, but it will last longer according to how full the gauge is. So if you've done half the bar, you can activate it. You don't need to wait until it's full to use it, but the more full it is, the better off you are. 2 of 4 of Red's attacks are Sidewinder, which again is kind of like Hell's Gate. You jump up and attack from above, but it does multiple hits. And Sentinel Stance, which puts him into a state where every hit will increase that vengeance gauge for you to be able to then use Siphon Fang and do a lot of damage and be able to move around a lot quicker. The other 2 moves I didn't use. I should have, I just never got around to it because I was just attacking. But the Red 13 is pretty good, pretty damn good. I enjoyed him a lot. So let's touch on Fiend hunting. Each Fiend hunt has a time limit, and it's a stronger enemy, a variant of enemies that you already know. They're bigger, they're badder, they're stronger, and you also have challenges within that event. So if you get all 3 of them, all 3 challenges, and you kill them within the time limit, you will get your enemy intel completed, which adds to something in the game which I don't know yet. There's a whole big area in Junon and there's multiple intels, so it shows you how many Fiend hunts there's actually going to be. I don't know if you'll get a reward if you get all the intel. I don't know that yet, but it is a part of the game. You bounty hunt Fiends, they add up to enemy intel, which could add up to something more. And the last couple of things I want to talk about are 2 new things to the game. 1, Chocobo customization. Yes, I'm not kidding. There are items you can find around the area and probably get rewarded with 2, which you can then use to change the armor on your Chocobo. And on that Chocobo, you can also change the colors of those armors. So you're going to have a high customization in your Chocobo, which leads me to believe and hope that potentially we might get costumes and ways to customize our actual characters. We've seen it in Ever Crisis. We've seen it in varying other media. I feel like this would be the perfect time to introduce like apparel into Final Fantasy VII. I wouldn't be mad if they didn't, but I would love to see Cloud's Advent Children thing, and you can change the colors of it and do different things and add things to your character to make them unique and your own, but nothing too like goofy and stuff that takes too far away from the original characters. But the customization on the Chocobo, absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to see how many different types of Chocobo armors there are and what they're based around, because the one that was in this footage was based around the Scorpion Guard. So yeah, pretty goddamn cool. And the last thing I want to talk about is item crafting. Absolutely phenomenal. No longer do you have to rely on getting to a shop to buy stuff. You could just craft them in the wild, and with the open world and how big it is, it just helps that you don't have to constantly be finding a shop if you need potions and such things. Now you can craft them. You get the items from battles, you get the items from picking them up off the ground. You know, you got ores and animal parts and bones and little grass stalk things, I can't remember what they're called, but you use all these items to create potions and varying other things, as well as cushions. So yeah, cushions are a new thing as well. So when you're setting up your Chocobo stops by going and petting the little Chocobo chick, you create a Chocobo stop and then you do it somewhere else by following another Chocobo chick, and then you can transfer fast travel between those 2 points very, very easily and fast. However, if you want to sit on the bench there and rest, I don't know whether it's needed, but I was prompted with sitting on a cushion. Once you use that cushion, it's used up. I don't know if you get any extra benefits from using a cushion, or you need one and required one to be able to rest at a Chocobo stop. But it's pretty funny, and you can craft them as well. So yeah, these are kind of just like my quick thoughts and all the new things and how I feel about them. And honestly, everything that I've seen and played is just absolutely phenomenal. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I would very easily say a 9 out of 10. And that's only because I had a few gripes about a few things. But overall, this game is Final Fantasy VII Remake on steroids in a good way. And I cannot wait to see more from this game. Over the next day or so, you're going to see several other videos, me go more in-depth and specific about varying topics within Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One of them will be the boss fights and the boss mechanics. One of them will be a more in-depth look at how combat is and the new abilities and all that kind of fun stuff. One will be more involved with the open world and varying things and showing more in depth what you can do and how it feels to play. And the other is just going to be a very quick top 5 new things in Final Fantasy, where we'll discuss all the things that we've talked about in this video and other videos in a more coherent video for anyone who just wants to look at 5 new things rather than all the footage and potential spoilers and stuff. So yeah, look out for those. They'll be on the channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think about this game. Are you looking forward to it? Are you going to play it? Do you want to see me play it? Because I could very much do a live stream of it. I don't know. Hit the comments down below. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.